Well, it is 12:11 a.m. on the East Coast, and Antonio Brown is a Pittsburgh Steeler. For now, the rumor is that the Bills are closing in on a deal to acquire him, and I'm fascinated that it's come to this. Antonio Brown went from being beloved in the city. I mean, beloved. Like, bigger cheers than Ben, and Ben won 2 Super Bowls. Even, and Juju's loved, and, bigger cheers than Juju. I mean, and he worked hard for those cheers. Like, dude did far more than whatever could have been expected from a 6th-round pick. Far more. But in less than 2 months, and I know there were some things going on behind the scenes and all, but in less than 2 months, this dude went from beloved in Pittsburgh to a pariah. Like they can't stand him. There's people that can't stand him. How did this happen? If you listen to the argument that these pundits and these people that get paid to analyze football for a living, and even Antonio Brown, what him and Ben had was a schoolyard argument. They had a schoolyard argument. Oh, you didn't run the right route, and you criticized me for not running the right route, and you should throw me a better ball. I mean, that's stuff you do in like 4th grade. You're a quarterback, your friend runs a route, you throw a little dump off, he's like, oh man, I was open, why did you throw it to me? This is not for professional football players, this is a schoolyard argument. And that's why you want to be traded? Now, could it be that the rumors are true and that's why he's doing cameo videos and all this other absurd stuff, is because he wants more guaranteed money because he's running through it with all the private plane. Look on Antonio Brown's Instagram, he's always in the latest clothes, always in a private plane, going to some event, always in a nice car. Now, he's made a ton of money over his playing career. I want to say, was it like 70 million was the rumor? $70 million over his playing career. Not to mention endorsements, he was on the Madden cover. Side note, if he gets traded to the Bills this evening, which seems to be the case, as that, at least that's what the NFL's YouTube page is running with, that he's going to the Bills, that he's already been traded, when it's just sources are confirming he might be traded, versus that it's a done deal. They said they're closing in on a deal. Now, usually when they say they're closing in on a deal, it means, it could be a done deal, but there's always a chance for, something to go haywire. But it'll be interesting to see what the return value is. But how did this happen? Some people are blaming Ben. Some people are blaming Antonio Brown. Some people are blaming Tomlin and his lack of, just letting people have a pass. Now, I feel like everybody's to blame at one point or another. But for AB, he really, really damaged his reputation in this town. Like, Pittsburgh is a city of bridges, and Antonio Brown did his damnedest to burn everyone. And I don't understand, why? What purpose did it serve? Was just to get more guaranteed money? Is that really what it was all about? He's going to now he's out of guaranteed money on this deal for the Steelers. Barring, what they said is that certain people are saying it's a team-friendly deal. He's due to make, through, his contract this year, he's the highest paid receiver in the NFL. So it's not like he's working for peanuts and he wants a new deal. You want a new deal, you're the highest paid player in the NFL, what are you looking for? You're looking for guaranteed money. Why would you be looking for more guaranteed money? Because rumor is that you might be broke. because you have 5 kids and you're running through money on all these trips and all these clothes. And now, that's all conjecture. It could be complete nonsense. I just want to know why and how AB went from being the darling of, not just the Steelers, but Pittsburgh loved him, to being a complete outcast, demanding a trade, losing all your credibility with a majority of your fans. On this channel, there's a video I did where I was at training camp, and there's a small little section at the end where AB is out catching balls in a jug machine, and then he gets swarmed by people, and he's signing their autographs, and they're like, AB, loved in this town. And I'm not saying I'm not still a fan, because I would say I am a fan. He was, I met him, I've taken a picture with him. He was always friendly to me. He's friendly to my son. So I can't knock that. But something happened in the last couple years. There were some, things that were just kind of like eccentric. He showed up at training camp, in an old Rolls Royce, like with a chauffeur. He showed up in the helicopter. So, this is so those things, I didn't care. By the way, I didn't care that a lot of people were mad about that. If he still catches 100 receptions a year, why do I care if he shows up in a helicopter? Now, they always said there's a lot of problems with the team, that he wouldn't stay at training camp. He'd have his own private house. Even Ben stayed at training camp. So, he wants this, it's about the team, that Ben has an owner's mentality, and then he goes on ESPN and says, they're going to play by my rules and do whatever I say. Well, that sounds like an owner's mentality to me. I don't. Now, side note, is this the worst Madden curse of all time? It has to be, right? I mean, if he ends up with the Bills this evening, and, once again, very curious to see what the compensation is. If he ends up with the Buffalo Bills this evening, starting last year as, coming into being the highest paid receiver in the NFL with the Steelers, and they have a top flight offense. If he ends up with the Bills, now, the Bills have a very unproven Josh Allen, who they drafted last year. They have Zay Jones, but he's not exactly going to be drawing a ton of coverage away. Shady might have, had it at this point. He did not have a great season last year. You don't know if maybe that was injury or maybe he's had it, but it's not the same offense. And I feel like AB is going to struggle. And if he struggles, he's going to get upset. And if he gets upset, it's going to be bad for everyone involved. Very bad for everyone involved. So, how do you rectify this? Because AB is going to want to be paid guaranteed money, and he wants to be on a team that's going to win. As the way the Buffalo Bills are currently constructed, I don't know if they're going to win. They're very unlikely not going to win. They're playing the same division as the Patriots. They're probably not going to win. So where does that leave AB? Is he going to regret this move? Like so many other players who have left the Steelers? Yes. He probably will. Is that something that, will that matter? I mean, the dude has had if he retired, say he retires. Let's give that scenario. Because I always thought that might be where we're heading if the Steelers don't trade him. Say he retires. If he retires, I still feel he's a Hall of Famer, at least. Maybe even, I don't know if he's necessarily the stats for first ballot, but he's had unbelievable success in Pittsburgh. He probably is not going to have that same success in Buffalo. I mean, he doesn't really have, a running back to draw the coverage off. He doesn't have there's not a prolific tight end. Zay Jones is certainly a capable receiver, but is he great? I don't know if he's great. So then where does that leave you? Well, that leaves you being frustrated, and that's what AB's probably going to be for the remainder of his NFL career. Now, I could be wrong about this, but we'll see. I'm curious to see what the compensation is. I just am utterly fascinated that someone who was a hero in Pittsburgh, beloved by people in Pittsburgh, would then completely pull a, like I said, from the TO playbook. He went from the, short of doing sit-ups in his driveway, he hit the TO playbook. He acted like a crazy person in an attempt to get cut so then he could sign with whoever he wants. Well, here's a scenario now. The scenario now is you're going to arguably probably a bottom 5 team in the league. Not a team that's going to win right out of the gate. Even with you, not a team that's going to win. Probably the worst case scenario based on the teams that were involved. Maybe Washington would probably be a little bit worse. Washington may be a little bit worse. But Buffalo, they have a QB, a very unproven QB. That's about it offensively. You don't know what Shady's at. Zay Jones thing. They don't really have the players to assist you. So what are you left with? You're left with maybe guaranteed money, but your legacy is ruined. Now, you say you don't care about football, or football's not, you said you could retire tomorrow. You don't need football. Well, if you care about your legacy and you care about how many catches you have, and you whine and you cry on the sidelines because of the catches you have, what are you left with in Buffalo? I just can't believe in 2 months he's went from hero to the Buffalo Bills. It's unbelievable to me. T.O. was always he was pegged as that locker room cancer guy. But A.B. was never that. Now, apparently, based on the stories you hear from Ryan Clark and other people, he was always this guy. And the Steelers kind of hid it under the rug. And they apparently are very good at that because that didn't break. Nothing came out as far as that goes until all this trouble started. But, will the Steelers be affected by this? Yeah, absolutely. They're going to lose the best receiver in the NFL. Now, he is the best receiver in the NFL. Let's not kid ourselves here. I argue with people, a lot of people that hate the Steelers, that they won't give him credit where it's deserved. They'll call Julio Jones the best in the NFL or other people. This dude was a 6th-round nothing. Julio Jones was a 1st-round top 5 pick. He was supposed to be good. He was supposed to be good. AB was not supposed to be good. He made himself that good. And that's that. So that will be missed. But we have Juju. Juju he is a number 1 talent. He has the ability to be a 1. We don't know yet what we have in Washington. He showed flashes last year. I think he'll have a good season. I think they need to make a couple free agent acquisitions, or maybe trade for a wide receiver. But the Steelers have always been good at finding wide receivers. It's not a panic mode when it comes to wide receiver. For me. But you're definitely going to be lacking when you lose AB and Bell in one offseason. However, if Juju and Connor make up for AB and Bell, maybe they don't put up the same level of production. They probably won't. But if they put up capable production, even good production, maybe not great production, this team doesn't hurt that bad as a result. I'm not as concerned about this, but I am very curious on the compensation. I'm waiting on it. I'm hoping we find out tonight, but we probably won't. But let me know, leave a comment below what your thoughts are on AB. Is he someone that, obviously you're going to miss him in a Steeler uniform? Is he someone that you hate now because of the way he's, done the Steelers in? Do you hate Ben? Or do you blame Ben for all this, like some of the national media people seem to? I don't feel Ben has to have a radio show. I think no good has come out of Ben having a radio show. Not one good thing has come out of Ben having a radio show, other than trouble. That's his Twitter. So AB has Twitter where you can throw people under the bus, and Ben has a radio show where you can throw people under the bus. And AB, one other important thing, he acts like oh, the QB got preferential treatment. Where do you think that's going to be different anywhere else? Allen's going to get preferential treatment in Buffalo. Plus, QBs yell at their receivers about running routes all the time. Look up a fun YouTube video. It's from week 17 of this year of Kirk Cousins and Adam Thielen on the sidelines, where Cousins is going and Thielen's shaking his head like, what? Basically yelling at him saying he ran the wrong route. This happens everywhere. Rodgers throws his teammates under the bus. So if you went to Green Bay, there's a chance it could happen there too. So the grass, as Larry Fitzgerald tried to tell you, you don't know how good you have it, and the grass isn't always greener. So we're going to learn a lot more. But I had to try out my first live experience with YouTube to, kind of get on this breaking story and this absurdness of the collapse, the Julius Caesar-like collapse of Antonio Brown. Now, we'll come back a year from now. We'll see what his numbers were in Buffalo. I could be a freezing, cold take on this one, but I think he'll have a bad year. And a bad year for him, like maybe he'll have, 60 receptions, maybe like 700 to 800 yards, 5 touchdowns. That's what I'm predicting for AB in Buffalo in his first year. Let's come back. Let's see if I'm wrong. But if I'm right, it'll be a mistake that he'll probably regret for the rest of his career. Let me know in the thoughts below how you feel about this move. Obviously, you might know by the time you watch this what the compensation is, and the compensation will change every aspect of this. But let me know what you feel about it. Thank you for watching. If you even watched for a second, I appreciate it. And it's the start of NFL free agency. It'll be very interesting. This is a very interesting new era for the Steelers. And we'll see how it all goes. Thanks for watching. See you later.